What's up, guys? Pyromaniac720 here, and I have for you round 5 from the West Hartford Premier Challenge. I do not remember my final opponent's name, but his name in game is clearly Tobes, so I'm going to call him Tobes. Getting right into the match. So at this point in the tournament, I am 3-1 overall. Pretty happy with where I'm at. Pretty happy with how the team's playing. My only loss was to a really good player who usually outplays me. So I of course go with my favorite lead, Lopunny and Suicune, as he goes with Heatran and Scizor. So I know that he had Gastrodon in the back, and so I didn't want to Scald that spot because that would have been bad news. So I just right away switch out the Suicune into the Arcanine so that I can pressure the Scizor. As you say, get my Intimidate off on the Scizor, which is nice. And my Lopunny reacts with the Mega Ring. So Scizor does protect. Probably expecting some sort of fake out, which I do end up going for on the Scizor. So now Scizor withdraws, and I pretty much expect that this is going to happen. So I low kick that spot. I actually doubled into that spot with low kick and Flare Blitz just in case he didn't switch out. So that ends up working out really nicely for me because I get the KO on Heatran, and I get a decent amount of damage off on Gastrodon. Unfortunately, though, Gastrodon is able to do a huge chunk of damage to my Arcanine with Scald. And it reveals it as leftovers, which is good to know. As Scizor now comes out. So, of course, Flare Blitzing and a Scizor is kind of obvious. And I think it'd be a lot easier for him to just protect Scizor. So I call the protect, and I go for the close combat and the return onto Gastrodon to try and pick up that KO. Unfortunately, Gastrodon is just 1 HP too bulky. Actually, I talked to him after. He said he has 3 HP left at that point. Scald does pick up the KO on Arcanine with a crit. Not that the crit mattered, but like I said, at this point, I'm feeling really good about where I'm at. Although I did lose my Pokemon that is able to take out Scizor, which kind of sucks. But Scizor just goes for the Bullet Punch and the Lopunny, which does just over half damage as I pick up the KO on Gastrodon with return. And I just go for the close combat on the Scizor. So at this point, I pretty much know it's over, depending on what he has in the back. Just because I know that Scizor cannot touch Cobalion, and Cobalion takes out one more hit. But then Amoonguss comes out, and I was a little concerned, because I'm like, Amoonguss is a little scary. So I set up my Suicune, and at this point, I really wish I had Arcanine, because Arcanine threatens both of these Pokemon. As Amoonguss does Rage Powder. And I kind of thought that the Rage Powder would be incoming, so I just Iron Headed instead of going for the close combat. And Iron Head does, I mean, an okay amount. I'd say maybe 30%, but nothing spectacular. That's going to be really close if whether or not Iron Head and Ice Beam picks up the KO. And then it also reveals Black Sludge, which is bad news for me. Scizor protects, which is, again, like I said, really good news for me because I end up doubling up into Amoonguss' slot. I pretty much expected him to go for the Spore because that's kind of his best chance at this point. But luckily, my 2 Pokemon are invested enough to take out the Amoonguss, which is good to know. So now at this point I know it's over because, like I said, Scizor cannot touch Cobalion or Suicune. So, I mean, 2 Scalds or 1 close combat ends it. As I just go for the close combat and pick up the KO. So at this point in the tournament, I'm now 4-1. I end up being the number 2 seed, and I had the highest resistance in the tournament. And I move on to top 8 versus, well, you have to see the next video to find out who. So until next time, guys, bye.